Welcome back to Tough Men of Faith. RT, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm good. Yep, we're joined here by a special guest today.
Yep.
Really
Brian?
excited to have Brian McCrorie here with us.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, we'll introduce you in just a minute.
Okay.
A couple logistic things.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to Increase Jesus for sponsoring us. Great place to buy some merch. Is that what we call it?
Yeah, some T-shirts.
T-shirts.
Holy shirts and pants.
No. And then coming up, the Barn Gathering.
April 25th.
Yep. So it's about 40 minutes west of Indy.
Right.
$25. You sign up online, Tough Men of Faith.
What are we doing? We're eating and learning how to make a mission statement?
Yeah, like a mission statement for life.
Yeah.
So we did
RT has convinced me that I need a mission statement.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't know really how to write one. He's like, well, we should do a gathering.
Yeah.
We can have all the guys out, be $20-25. You can eat, hang out around the fire, and
Get something done.
we can talk about how to make a mission statement.
Yeah. So kind of the goal of the night is, like believe it or not, Nick has some gifts. Like God's gifted Nick. They look very
Not
differently
just
from
in the
our
looks
gifts.
department.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And then he has some passion. So we're looking at like, how does Nick use the gifts God's given him, the passions he has to make a difference for the kingdom?
Okay.
So that's kind of the goal of the night is to like every individual man to kind of look inside where you spiritually gifted at.
Yep.
And then how can you use those gifts in the context God has given you?
That's great.
Yeah, and have you want to write one out, and you guys going to find even Nick can accomplish something in life. So,
Great. Thanks, buddy.
yep, sign up.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. If nothing else, we'll make fun of Nick for the night.
That's easy enough.
And you got your sparkling water. You gonna bring sparkling water that night for yourself?
You know, this is a thing that's causing controversy with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You make fun of me when we go to restaurants and I order one.
It's not even flavored.
No.
No, it's just deliciousness. Yeah. See? Brian's going to jump right on
Yep,
in there with
he
you,
will.
too.
All right, let's introduce Brian.
Remember at the last gathering at the Farmstead Summit?
What happened?
I was drinking sparkling water by the fire that night, and it was in a green bottle. And I had like 4 people come to me and say, hey, we can drink beer here?
Yes.
Nope.
No, we're not drinking that here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, probably didn't help you had it in a sack.
Yeah. Little paper sack. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have Brian McCrorie with us. He's
Yeah.
I met him a few years back. I think when I first came to the church I'm at here, Brian reached out to me early on. We got lunch one day, and
Yeah.
it was super encouraging, and just watching your ministry from a distance, but also partnering on some things. And your granddaughter would be my great niece.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kayla. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, we're excited to
She
have
blends
you here.
right in with all your redheads.
She does. Yeah.
Funny thing, we were just talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
redheads.
Yep. Yeah, because when she was first started coming around, we'd go out, and I have 3 redhead girls, and Kayla's here. They just assumed that I have 4 redhead girls. Like, no, 3's all I can handle. So but you have 5 kids,
I have 5 kids.
3 grandkids,
3 grandkids.
All right.
And a wife.
and a wife. Yeah,
Yeah.
and a wife. I hear grandkids is like something totally different.
Oh, it is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody says it's great.
I've heard that.
Yeah. It is uniquely great.
Yeah.
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 And I could say it's like you're a great grandpa, not great grandpa. You do a great job as a grandpa.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's not hard because it's wonderful.
Yeah, I saw. So my great niece the other day, I was where she was at, and they FaceTimed you,
Oh,
and her face just
Yeah.
lit up when
I
she
can't-
saw you on the.
I'm
on
going
the
to see her
phone.
this weekend. I can't wait to
Yeah,
see her.
yeah. So yeah, that's
Just
great.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of age, that's something we're
Yeah.
talking about a
Yeah.
little bit about.
Right. Yeah.
Talking about being a mentor.
Yeah. Can I just say, I got you asked me to do the podcast, and I was excited to do that.
And then I met Nick.
And then I had met Nick, but so I was like, well, I should look for context, and so I saw that my good friend Matt Roller was on here
Yep.
not long ago, and I thought, oh, great choice. I mean, he's a tough guy, he's good, and then.
If Matt can do this, anybody can do
And
this.
then I thought, then I heard, I think I heard you say it was season 7.
It is. Yep.
So I thought, why would RT have waited so long to pick me to be on a tough man podcast? It did not compute. I mean, I like action movies.
Yeah. I don't know.
I admire men in the military. I've
Yeah.
stood next to some of them.
Yeah.
I can build things.
Yeah.
I've used blocks with my grandchildren to build huge tower. I put furniture together from Amazon.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the delay was about. I've painted rooms in my house.
Yeah, very
I've
manly.
done things.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was just I almost didn't come.
I don't know how to respond because usually we just make fun of Nick on this show.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
rarely that I'm the one.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, if we could just
Okay.
redirect that.
Okay, sure. Well, I don't know Nick yet.
That's
Right.
true.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
true. Well, I am glad
I would
you
have
decided to
invited
come
you
on.
had I known you already. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, honestly, like when we first started, Matt came on because we get lunch once a month. He's
Oh,
he's a
nice.
guy that when I first showed up to church, he showed up. It's like, you need someone to get lunch with you, and so we started going out once a month. Done it for 7
Sweet.
years.
Oh, that's great.
he
So
makes
he
our
did-
tea by every week.
He's just
so-
hungry.
yeah, that's it.
He has a different guy every day. Yeah.
He does. He knows. He knew about the podcast early on. Came on the first season, and this.
Yeah.
He begs to come back.
Yeah,
it's
he's
odd.
great.
Well,
yeah.
then we have someone in another state that begs us for Matt to come back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He-
Matt is great.
He's great.
And an actor.
An actor?
Haven't you seen The Mummy?
I have not.
Matt looks exactly like the actor who plays the Mummy
I'm going to look that up.
in the original Mummy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is.
Arnold Vosloo, I think is
Okay.
his name.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I'm really
Well-
good at trivia too.
I'm glad you're here now,
Yeah.
and maybe in the future if you want
Yeah,
to come back.
well, we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so, I think did you pick this topic? I sent a
I
list
did.
of like 20 topics. You
Yeah.
came back on this one, right?
Yeah, this was. Okay, I'm not really a tough guy. This is probably the one thing on the list that kind of resonated with me.
Okay.
More than anything else. Yeah.
Why is that?
I think because I'm kind of a cerebral type guy. I'm not a more of a work with my hands. My dad was more that way. He was a Vietnam vet, military guy. I've been always more of an academic type kid. Grew up, studied music all the way through college. Got involved in technology. I know I'm kind of a techie, scholarly, nerdy type of guy. I'm one of those guys who actually likes to read, likes to study.
I know a couple guys like that.
Have you met guys like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I thought about, to be a student and to be a mentor are things that I have had to be and I've experienced in my life, and I'm also trying to do and be.
Okay. So what? And I know you probably have some notes and things because you're an academic.
I am. I have pages right from
Pages, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you want to kick this off? Like talking to guys who are interested in like what it means to be a mentor or mentee, a student.
Well, the reason I'm committed to it is because of two things. One, because as I've grown up, as I thought back over my life, almost everything that I've learned in life is a result of someone else mentoring me. Anything that's been significant in my life.
Yep.
I think back to my dad, first and foremost, who taught me constantly his word, his actions. I think of my youth pastor when I was in high school, who really kind of fanned the flame that had just started in me to pursue ministry. I think of my a lot of individual teachers and professors along the way that helped just turn the light bulb on at different times in different areas of thinking. I think of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is someone who loves the Word of God and loves lost people, probably more than anybody else that I know on the planet. I think of several older pastors that have come alongside me along the way and kind of said, don't do that.
Right.
Yeah. Stop doing that. Or you really should consider doing this. Who have been really helpful. And so I'm a product of my mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons I'm interested in it. The other reason, I think, is when I came to my church 17 years ago, just about, and I showed up. It's a nice church. Everybody's happy. Ministry was going on. And then what I noticed almost right away is that almost all of the stuff that was taking place in the church that had value was being done by the women. And I had some men who were, deacons, and I had some men who were, they take care of the property, and good guys, hardworking guys. But spiritually speaking, they weren't doing much in the church to lead. And so that was concerning to me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got to do something I got to pour myself into guys so that we can make this better in the church. So that's why it's interesting to me.
Yeah. So what did that look like for you? Like how did you start pouring yourself into guys?
I think the first thing we started trying to, we tried to do it with leadership. So when I first came, I had another hire that I had to make almost right away, full-time associate pastor. Hired a guy who would come in especially to work in mentoring, discipleship throughout the church, church-wide. And then we kind of started with our group of guys that were our deacons, and we just started, we'd read books together monthly. We did retreats together. We'd go to camps, men's camps and stuff like that. I started meeting lunches one-on-one with a lot of them. And we also started doing some specific training. We trained guys who weren't deacons, maybe, how you could become a guy who would serve well in the church, and took some guys who we thought maybe had some pastoral gifts and started working with them too to try to train them up. And so it's just a long process of pouring into people.
Yeah.
And 17 years later, it's completely changed.
Yeah.
Completely changed.
What has that done for your church?
I think it's given our church a stability that wasn't there before. The church that I'm in had a series of pastors before me, and most of them had not left under good circumstances. Yeah. And so just to have somebody who comes and stays through the good times and the bad times, through the highs and the lows, and invests in people, has paid dividends with regard to stability, with regard to unity, with regard to having more men who are able to do ministry more capably, multiplying efforts, things like that. So it's wonderful. Yeah. And of course the women haven't stopped.
Right.
They're still doing their thing all the time, they're doing great. But hopefully the guys are better husbands, they're better fathers, they're better leaders in the church, all of it.
Yeah, that's, at the church I serve at, it was similar. We had a lot of ladies doing things. And I think a lot of our growth in our health as a church, not necessarily numerical, has come from our men getting more engaged and serving and growing. And
Yep. Yeah, the same way men are supposed to lead in the household. They also need to be leading at the church as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we have a lot of younger guys that listen to the
Yeah.
podcast. So how would you encourage them, like the importance of mentorship? How do you find a mentor? What is that? What does that look like?
I think part of it is, and I wish that when I was a younger guy, I thought the way that I do now about this, because I didn't. Yeah. When I was a younger guy, I liked the fact that I had been to a lot of school, I knew a lot of answers, and so I could get up and preach a sermon, and at the end of the sermon, people, I never saw that before, oh, you're such a good teacher, blah, blah, blah. And I loved it. I loved it,
Right.
Now I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. But I think a lot of times with younger guys too, which I was one, younger guys have a tendency to make their work, whatever they do to earn money, like their primary identity. Like, this is who I am. And I think that if young guys could get a hold of the fact that, no, what you are as a blood-bought son of Jesus Christ is that you are an ambassador of His who is to make disciples of all nations. That's who you are. And you do that everywhere. You do that in your home. You do that in your job. And I think just that subtle mind shift of who I am and what I do can make a big difference with young guys. And then when you realize that you're not just going to job to earn a paycheck, to punch in and punch out, you're going to your job to be light and salt. And we did some evangelism training last year, and one of the things that we were challenged with by some video series we were going through was that a lot of times Christians censor Jesus from the secular parts of our life. Like, we go to work and we feel like we can't say anything about church or about Jesus or about the Bible because, like, they're not our people. They wouldn't understand, or they might, it might come back to bite us in some way. Yeah. And I think that sometimes we just got to take the censor off. We got to take the filter off. We got to be the same person on Sunday that we are on Monday. And once we have that mindset, then the opportunities for mentoring are everywhere. They're all around us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other part is talk about being a student.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean for you? Like when you hear that?
Well, I mean, there's a theological side to that, and then there's a non-theological side to that. So let me take the non-theological side first.
Okay.
I have, since I was a kid, and maybe a lot of guys are like this. I have always had kind of this insatiable desire to learn new stuff. I just always have.
Yeah.
And so when I was a kid, how that kind of manifested itself was in collecting. So I used to collect stuff. I used to collect baseball cards like a lot of kids do. I collected baseball caps. I collected patches. I collected coins. I collected rocks.
Yep.
I just went from, I'd get bored and then I'd move on to something else. And I'd have all these different collections that I'd accumulated. And then, as I got a little older, 17, 18, I'm out of high school, going into college, I'm getting interested in politics, how the world works. And I'm getting interested in, political ideas. And so I start diving into some of that as I'm getting a little older and, getting to know candidates and working for campaigns. And it was just kind of it wasn't that politics was my thing. It was just a new thing that I didn't know much about, and I was interested in it. So I found out about it. And then I got married, started having kids, and family just consumes everything. And, just trying, because I wasn't a big sports guy when I was younger, I played, I think, 1 year of soccer when I was in high school. My kids played sports all their school.
Yeah, your kids are athletes.
Because of my wife. She was a big sports
Yeah.
person. And so, I had the choice, I can, go sit in the stands and just watch, and cheer, which to me is like the most boring thing in the world. Or I can try to learn something, do something. And so I ended up becoming the announcer.
Yep.
For like almost all of the home games for all of the years that my kids were at school. And that was exciting me. I had to learn about the sport. I got to cheer on my kid in a way.
Yeah.
And I was there. So just learning things like that. And, as I got older, about 20 years ago, I was watching cable television and saw Emeril Live, the chef, Emeril Lagasse. And I was like, that's fun. That looks awesome. I never thought cooking could be fun.
Yeah.
And so I developed this whole love for cooking and started trying stuff at home and getting new gadgets.
I've heard you're really good at it. So.
Well, I've gotten that way
Okay.
over time.
Yeah.
But so it's just, my life has just kind of been, maybe some guys aren't naturally that way, but if I'm bored, I want to learn something new. I want to travel someplace I've never been. I want to try something or read something that I've never done before. And it's the same way with theology and my ministry side of things. That's why I've spent a lot of time in school. Finished my last degree in 2019. I was 46 or 47 years old. So that's kind of been a constant all the way through as well. But I think being a student is something, because I talk to guys, this is one of the biggest things I get from my guys in my church. I'm not a reader. I'm not a studier.
Yeah.
I don't like books. It's not for me. It's, I'm glad the women do it. I hear that all the time.
Yep.
And I don't know the answer to that all the time, but I know that part of the answer to that is you got to suck it up and do it anyway. I mean, we are people of a book.
Yeah.
This is God's letter to us, and we have to know it better than anybody else knows it. We have to take it to people. So you can't be lazy and just say, I'm not a reader, and so I'm not going to read it. So even if it's 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, or get another guy to read it with you, and talk about it and what it means. You've got to form that habit into your life, along with all the other things that we like to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's watching MMA fights or working on our cars or whatever hands-on type stuff. We've got to do the mental stuff too. Because we've got to lead our homes, we've got to lead our churches, and that means we have to be men of the word.
Yep.
We have to be.
What do you recommend? Do you have books you recommend to guys? Like, hey, I'm not a reader. I know I need to. Maybe a newer believer.
Yeah.
What's a book or two you'd say, hey, you should dive into this?
Yeah, I think we have such a riches of books. I mean, there's so many out there today. But there's a lot of great books that are directed toward men. There's all kinds of them. Some of the earliest ones that I read about men were written by a guy named Steve Farrar. called Point Man, Anchor Man. He's written some things like that. Don Whitney down at Southern Seminary has written some good stuff for family that I think is easy to read.
Yeah, his spiritual disciplines book is one
Yeah.
I read that every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Whitney is a scholar type guy, but he's one of the few guys that can actually synthesize it down to, just anybody's level. And so, I think you got to you ask your pastor, read things with your pastor. I think that's a good thing to do.
Did you hear that, Nick?
I hear you.
All right.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I've taken some guys through, some of the training we've done. We've worked through systematic theologies
Yeah.
with some guys that haven't picked up a book in years. And it was hard for them. But slowly, surely, it'll make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share to guys about being a student, mentor? That's been really helpful. I liked your line about, because I've heard a lot too of when guys are like, I'm not a reader, I don't want to read, what should I do? Suck it up and read.
Yeah. So you start somewhere.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, that's what we do in other areas of our life.
That is true.
Stuff that we don't want to do. You don't want to go to the dentist. You don't want to, change the oil. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Or if you don't do it, then you run into trouble.
Yeah. Where would you say guys should look for a mentor? Or how?
Looking for a mentor?
Yeah, like so a younger guy, hey, I really want a mentor in my life.
I think I obviously, probably the best place to start is in your local church.
Yeah.
If you're not going to a local church, suck it up and go to a local church.
Right? Yep.
Find a good one that teaches the Bible. The label's not that important, but they got to teach the Bible faithfully. And then I think just look around and look for some guys that are maybe a little ahead of you in life, maybe in spirituality too, guys that maybe you admire. Maybe they're doing something right that you wish you would do better. And just come alongside them and say, hey, I'll buy you lunch. Can I ask you questions? Can you help me, where I'm at in my life?
Yeah, that's good.
I think most guys would say, absolutely.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I agree. I know we're getting close on time. If guys are looking to find you, looking for a church, live on the east side of Indy.
Yeah, we're on the east side.
East side.
Where you might get shot on your way to church. Seriously, I had a missionary. I was meeting with a missionary a couple years ago, and he got there and he said, "Yeah, the guy I'm staying with over in like Avon, he said, you're going where for lunch?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's how we roll over here, man."
Yeah.
So we hear gunshots regularly in our neighborhood. It's just part of life. Yeah, we're over near Cumberland, Washington Street. It kind of cuts through the city. We're all the way east near Washington and German Church Road.
Yeah.
And been there since 1961. The church has. I've been there since 2008. Heather Hills Baptist Church. And just trying to reach into our neighborhoods and communities and love them and be faithful.
Yeah, it's a great church.
Yeah.
If I didn't go to Villa, lived
Come
on
on
your
over.
side of town,
Yeah.
I'd be going to Heather Hills.
Yeah, come on
So
over.
check it out if you're looking for a church. We have a lightning round at the end. I should have told you about.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
Nick, you're going to tell me the questions. I know
I
one
love
is
weather too.
Weather?
There was something else I studied when I was
Man.
in college.
Well,
love
I
it.
was thinking
storms. Oh,
if we could get you-
tornadoes.
if we
I
could-
live in Indiana.
Well-
Tornadoes. I chase them.
We may not talk about the weather on here
Okay,
much,
that's all right.
but
Our
if we
teacher
could
chased a
bring you
tornado
on
once.
Yeah.
to maybe talk politics, like
Okay, yeah,
we've kind of
yeah.
stayed away from that.
Okay.
But it'd be
Sure.
interesting to get your perspective sometime on that. So.
Okay.
Right, Nick?
Sounds good. I don't talk about politics ever.
Yeah. All right. So if you had to pick someone to play you in a movie,
Oh, okay.
who would play you in a movie?
That's easy because I've been told that I resemble somebody who is an actor that
Okay.
I should play. And that is the kid from, or the guy from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember his name? I
I
can't
don't know
remember
his name, but
No.
yeah.
Rick Moranis. Yeah. I think I looked more like him when I was a little younger, had a little more hair, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, maybe Rick Moranis would do
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
Nick, you remember next question?
Nope.
I think it was if you could meet someone in history,
Oh, that's it.
not Jesus,
Oh, wow.
but anyone through history, who would you want to meet and why?
It'd be a long list.
Well, you can pick one.
Yeah. Somebody in history. Oh, man. I don't know. It would probably be somebody like Charles Spurgeon.
Okay.
Just a great, faithful preacher that God used. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to his church.
Have
I lived
you?
in
Yeah.
Britain. My parents were missionaries. So I have an affinity for British stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's ever said Spurgeon on here when we asked who they
No
want to
way.
meet, right?
That's a
Yeah.
new one.
Yeah,
All
that's-
right, there you
yeah.
If you could recommend a book, not the Bible, what would you recommend to guys?
I was just asked this today.
Fresh on your mind.
So this may sound a little weird, but I really enjoyed when I read years ago. I read a little book called Keeping the Heart, and it's a book by a guy named Joseph Flavel. And don't let this scare you off. He was a Puritan. Okay, so most Puritans are horrible to read. They're hard. This guy is not. And he takes one verse, like a lot of the Puritans do, and writes a whole book on it.
Yeah.
And it's Proverbs, keep your heart with all diligence.
Yeah.
Out of it are the issues of life. And I love that book. I've highlighted all over it.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
I would say I started reading the Puritans a few years back,
Yeah.
and it was tough for me.
It's hard. Some of them are really hard.
I had to suck it up, like
Yeah.
you said, and read.
Yeah.
But there was so much fruit that came
This
out of
guy
that.
is not hard to read.
Okay. I'll check that one out.
We got it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Yep.
We really would. We're not going to wait 7 years to have you back.
We'll see.
7 seasons.
Seven
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
Hasn't been 7
Yeah,
years yet.
years seems like such a long time.
I got to
It
start
does.
doing push-ups and stuff.
No, you don't have to be
know.
tough on here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're having this next guest next week, and he can barely bench press anything.
Oh,
so-
good. Glad to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for checking us out and listening today. And
Yep.
check out the farms, not the Farmstead
It's
Summit,
not the summit.
the barn gathering,
Yeah, the barn gathering.
April 25th.
April 25th.
All right.
That's what? Is that a Friday?
Yeah, Friday night.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. See you guys.